shores and woodlands of the north, it's history of copper mines and iron ore, the Great Lakes fishery. To the farmlands of the southern counties we'll look around, my friend, and all that waits the sportsman in the state of Michigan. And sometimes when the moon brings out the diamonds in the snow, and the stillness of the forest lies encased in Arctic cold, the wind might whisper through the trees, listen if you can, it tells you all their beauty in the state of Michigan.
Hi there, come on in. It is Thursday night, time for the outdoor news leading up to the firearm deer opener, which is just 2 weeks away. I'll review an article on the controversial youth deer hunt in my Michigan Outdoor News Report. I'm Zachary Trost.
And I'm Fred Trost. You know, hunters are used to seeing signs like this in the woods, and the message is clear. But what does the recreational trespass law say about signs and fences and when there are none? I'll cover that in Sportsman and the Law, so stay tuned. This is the October 30th, 2003 edition of the Practical Sportsman News.
The current issue of the Michigan Outdoor News covers a spectrum of topics, including an article by correspondent Linda Gallagher on the controversial youth hunts for waterfowl and deer. This year, the preseason youth duck hunt was September 20th and 21st, and the preseason firearm deer hunt was September 27th and 28th. Her headline said these hunts have been successful, but not fruitful. What does that mean? Well, here are a few quotes of interest for those sportsmen who have questioned the wisdom of having special preseason hunts for kids. DNR waterfowl specialist Greg Soulier says, "The youth waterfowl hunt goes well every year, but I don't think there are a lot of shots fired. I don't think there are a lot of ducks taken during these hunts." This quote sounds a little tentative, like maybe the DNR doesn't know what impact the youth hunt has. The lack of DNR data is confirmed by Linda Gallagher, who wrote, Soulier says the agency did not have an estimate on how many young hunters participate in the hunt each year. What about hunting accidents or law violations during the youth hunts? Soulier says it's possible with all the rules there are regarding duck and goose hunting that there were a few infractions found by COs, but I've not heard of any, nor have I heard of any accidents. And what about the attitude of duck hunters towards this early kids season? There's been very little complaining or objection from other waterfowlers about this hunt. Everyone seems to accept it, according to Soulier. Regarding the early deer hunt, which falls a few days before the bow season opener, Gallagher writes, in past years, some Michigan hunters voiced opposition to the youth deer hunt for a variety of reasons, but those complaints have died down, said Rod Clute, the DNR's deer specialist. Clute said, there's always going to be a few violations of the laws, and some big bucks are going to be harvested, but there's no doubt there's still plenty of deer. How many deer are we talking about during the youth hunt? DNR says it has numbers on this, although they're pretty round numbers. In 2002, a little more than 17,000 youth hunters were in the woods for that weekend, and they took 3,000 antlered bucks and 2,000 does. DNR biologist Rod Clute said, that's not a high harvest ratio. I don't know, a 30% success seems pretty good to me. The law infractions, according to Lieutenant Dean Molnar of the DNR Law Division in Cadillac, were regarding the use of bait, which was not allowed during the youth hunt, trespassing, no hunter's orange, and adults hunting. But those were the exception more than the rule, according to the DNR. Even though the DNR says that public criticism has died down, these youth hunts are still a matter of controversy among many sportsmen, and the DNR doesn't know if they're bringing in more young hunters or just giving the young hunters that would be there anyway an extra early season. Despite the efforts of the youth seasons, Michigan has continued to see a 1 to 2% loss in overall hunter numbers in the past 5 years, primarily thought to be due to an aging population of sportsmen and women. Lieutenant Molnar said, times are changing and we're seeing that a lot of issues we dealt with all the time in past years are on the decline. That's something everybody can agree on, but the value of the youth deer hunt isn't so clear-cut. While this article was written objectively by Linda Gallagher, Her column questioning whether the youth deer hunt is good or bad focuses on the controversial aspects. Without going through her column, I'll just quote a few of her questions. Are we actually teaching our children that the youth hunt is only an opportunity to bag a trophy buck without competition from other hunters? Are we bringing more youngsters into the hunting fold? And are we giving them a quality experience and teaching them about ethics and the law? Linda Gallagher's conclusion? Well, the jury's still out on that one.
What does Michigan's recreational trespass law say? Does all land have to be posted to be protected? Well, the answer in short is it doesn't. But here's a quick review of the recreational trespass law. Farmland, pastures, plowed fields, hayfields, cropland, farm woodlots next to cultivated land, you know what I'm talking about. You can tell by looking at it that the land is not vacant, somebody owns it and they're farming it. Farm property does not have to be posted with no trespassing signs. It doesn't have to be fenced. To any reasonable person, it's self-evident that farmland is private property. And because it's so obvious, the law doesn't make farmers do anything but keep farming their property to protect it from recreational trespass. You must have permission to hunt farmland. Permission does not have to be in writing. It can be oral permission. But if you don't have permission and the farmer brings a complaint, you'll be found guilty of recreational trespass. Now, non-farmland that has a fence around it, or berms or blockades that in some way enclose the property so it, well, prevents or at least discourages outsiders from entering. And you know by looking at barriers that the property is privately owned. The law says fences or enclosures serves as a sign to trespassers that the land is private. And if you hunt that land without permission and the landowner complains, you can be arrested for recreational trespass. Now, what about that same unimproved land or woods that is not farmland? It's not fenced, it's not enclosed either. In order for the landowner to receive protection under the Recreational Trespass Act, the perimeter of the land must be posted with signs that are at least 50 square inches. These signs don't have to be any particular distance apart, but they do have to be close enough so that somebody coming in from the outside can see at least one sign from any possible entry point. Any special wording on the signs? No. All the signs have to say, in letters that are at least 1 inch tall, is something like no trespassing, no hunting, private property, private, keep out, something that conveys the idea that the land is private and trespassers are not welcome. Now, if you do not have permission to use posted land for hunting or recreation, don't go past these signs. If the landowner brings a complaint, you can be arrested, and a conviction is pretty much a slam dunk. Now, what about land that is not farmland? It's not fenced or enclosed. It's not posted. The landowner hasn't taken any visible steps to give people notice that it's private, but he doesn't want any intruders. Well, if you're caught on that property and told to leave, you would better leave immediately because you've just been given notice, even though it's oral notice, that you're a trespasser and the landowner wants you to keep off. You can't be prosecuted until you're told to leave, but if you don't leave immediately, then you're trespassing at that point. If you come back another time and you're caught, you can be prosecuted for trespass. No signs or fences are needed. The landowner just has to let you know that you're not welcome. So let's review these 4 situations. Farmland, automatically covered by the recreational trespass law. Non-farmland that's fenced or enclosed, automatically covered. Non-farmland that's not fenced but has signs posted around it, it's covered. And lastly, non-farmland that's not fenced, not posted, the landowner can bring a trespass charge once the person has been notified he's not welcome and he trespasses. Well, that's recreational trespass in a nutshell. If you want to protect your hunting land from trespass, let outsiders know. Plaster signs around the perimeter so there's no question and you'll be covered. And by the way, just because the sign says no hunting, that doesn't mean that hunting isn't allowed. It means that an outsider can't come in and hunt. The people who are supposed to be there can hunt, of course.
This week we're featuring a county that's named after the river that runs through it. This river begins at Houghton Lake and empties into Lake Michigan. Now that was a big hint. Its name comes from the Native American word Muskegon, which means marshy river or swamp. Now that's almost too easy. It's Muskegon County, located right here about halfway up the western side of the Mitt. This area was rich in white pine and prospered during the lumber boom in the mid-1880s. During the peak of the lumber era, 47 sawmills lined the shores of Muskegon Lake, while another 16 surrounded White Lake to the north. In the year of 1887, over 665 million board feet were cut, and Muskegon boasted more millionaires than any other town in America. Muskegon was known in those days as the lumber queen of the world. Muskegon County also has ties to Hollywood. Silent film star Buster Keaton and his family spent summers in Muskegon from 1905 to 1920. Buster's father, John Keaton, started an actors colony in Bluffton, and by 1911, over 200 theater personalities flocked to Bluffton each summer. When film began replacing vaudeville, the actors colony declined. Today, Muskegon County has clean, sandy beaches along Lake Michigan, many fishing and water sport opportunities inland, and shows off its practical sportsman hunting and fishing awards in this week's Muskegon County Fish and Game Hall of Fame. The next featured county for the Fish and Game Hall of Fame will be Grand Traverse.
From the Youth Hunt, I do believe, the 29th of September.
Yes.
Olivia Fox from Remus got this in Isabella County, and there's a 10-pointer, and it says ground blind and calling.
Yeah.
Were you doing the calling?
No, my dad was.
And a grunt call then?
No, it was a can.
A can?
Yeah, like a can bleat that you flip over and it does a little funky sound.
Well, that really takes a lot of skill.
Yeah.
So you sat there with your rifle, and he sat there turning the can.
Yeah, my brother was making noise till I told him to stop.
Oh, this is a whole family hunt.
Yeah.
Now, how old are you?
14.
So this was your first year gun hunting, of course.
Yeah.
Well, that was pretty cool. So after you shot it, what happened?
The back end went up in the air, and I thought maybe I shot it in the back end. And my dad about ran us over trying to get out of the shanty. And so I got out, and he told me to reload because it started charging at us. But then he tripped over a log and fell down.
The deer or your dad?
The deer. My dad was pretty near already out there to the deer. And he didn't get back up. And by then I had it reloaded, and we walked out there. And he's like, it's 10-point. And he couldn't believe it was 10-point. And my uncle and his son was out there hunting, and his daughter, and he got on the radio and told them that it was 10-point, and they didn't believe us, so he came over and got his quad out and tried to pull it out, but they couldn't pull it out because it was too heavy, so my dad had to grab onto it and pull on it too.
Well, I'm glad he did something finally.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. So what do you think about hunting then so far?
I think it's fun. because you get to be out there with your family, and it's pretty funny once you watch your older cousin gut out a deer and get pictures with it.
Oh, so you didn't gut it out?
Oh, I gutted my deer out, but they didn't have a camera.
Ah. So your dad made you gut it out?
Yeah,
So why did you have him along at all?
because in the youth hunt, you're supposed to have an adult with you.
I see. Well, I'm sure he learned a few things from you there.
Yeah.
Well, good deal. Olivia Fox, that's a good story from the youth hunt up in Remus. Another Pat Witherell type. I hope not. Say something, Ryan.
I don't think so.
Okay, good.
A little bit more than
You got your voice. You got your voice. Ryan Wen from Jenison. We've had him up here on these banquets for 10 years or more, ever since he was a little kid. He is just added to his score. White sucker, let's see, got a master angler white sucker, a channel catfish, an inland brown trout, a largemouth bass, 2 king salmon over 40 inches, 6 carp, and 10 buffalo. Wow. And you know what? How old are you now?
I'm 19.
Hey, everybody had money that when you hit 18, that was it. You were out with the girlfriend in the convertible.
Not me.
Not you?
No.
You've always been a fishing and hunting fool.
Yeah, most of my life.
So are you kind of got one eye out for a girl who likes to fish?
Well, the thing that's nice about the fish is they don't talk back or nothing.
So you have dabbled in this thing.
Oh, a little bit.
Yeah, I can see why. I tell you, you have got some colossal fish. Every year, your dad takes great pictures.
Yeah, he's a good picture taker.
Yeah, we're talking about going out with you. Last year when we went out, Zachary and his son and me, and let's see, there was Brittany and Kim, and we shot pellet guns while we were...
Yeah, we had a good time.
Yeah, it kind of made the day, something else to do. Plus, we cooked hot dogs and burgers.
Hot dogs and hamburgers, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's great. Hey, I'm getting excited about it right now.
Actually, I caught this fish when you were sitting in your truck.
That's the one?
Talking to your son, Zach.
That's the one you caught?
Yep.
Oh, that is something else. Well, very good. I don't know what to tell you. I guess you don't need any advice on women now, so you seem to be doing fine. Well, way to go, Ryan Wen. Always good to see you. Looking forward to fishing with you.
Attach the antlers. What I do is I test them on here to see how they're going to fit, determine what cuts I need to make on it. Lots of different ways to do this, but if they're cut right, you don't have to play too many extra games here. You just get it where you want it, screw it down.
Have an assortment of bows here in this one section of the museum. Of course, this is a compound bow, the high-tech one that everybody uses. I enjoy the recurve bows myself, and we have long bows here as well. But these things are hanging out in the open, a lot of this equipment, so people can touch them. And it's amazing that they don't. But the purpose of having them here like these two, they're kids' bows. I mean, I got these at a yard sale. This is This is a little recurve bow. What did I get it for? So you can come in the museum and pull this back, and you can see how the farther you pull it, I mean, if you're not an archer, the farther you pull it, the harder it gets. And that's the way the traditional bow works. The limbs pull, it gets tougher all the way back. The compound bow, when I found a kid's, basically a toy compound bow, has the wheels here, and try pulling this back, and you can see you get it part way and the wheels roll over like that, and it's real easy to hold it back when it's all the way. But that's what I have these things here for, so you can test them and see how they work. And sometimes toys can be great educational tools. Got a lot of things like this in the museum that you can handle. Makes it fun.
You turned your clock back last weekend, right? Well, okay, you can use that extra hour this weekend to come to Puppy Saturday, or you can take a kid fishing or hunting, because an hour is better than nothing. Get outdoors, enjoy yourself, and we'll see you right back here next week.
This guy off Same Farm too.
That one's yours?
That's Uncle Fred's there.
Look at this one.